Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview as we get into the real nitty gritty stuff of SuperCoach and everything finals. And look, it's going to be very interesting at the moment because a lot of sides have no trades left, or one or two. Certainly it's quite limited in our trades, and we've been thrown a few late curveballs, that's for sure. A few players not coming back, so I'll jump straight into it. And I often start with the ins, but to be brutally honest, I didn't find any ins at all that were that SuperCoach relevant, really. I mean, the list of outs wasn't enormous, but as far as outs, we've got no Deledio or no Hall back in the side as yet. Dylan Shield is out. Libba, which we know is out, and he'll largely be the talking point this week, and probably not that relevant, but perhaps to the bigger picture things for Adelaide, Sam Jacobs is out, but I don't think it's too bad. So look, what does that all mean? I mean, Shield, he's relatively popular. It's just one of those frustrating ones. Some people may be waiting for the return of Hall or Deledio. It's just frustrating at the moment, and you can cop that early in the year because other things are happening, but this is a time of year where you just want everything clicking over perfectly. And look, Libba is the obvious talking point. He went down last week, he was on fire, had 70 odd points midway through the second quarter, and he goes down. Now, a lot of people would have got rid of him already, and that's fair enough because he's arguably not a top 10 mid. He's pretty close, which is why I and many others kept him. But the downside of that, from a couple of injury interrupted games, he is priced at $382,000. Now, that is the ultimate killer. I've touched on it in other podcasts, is where it's a double whammy. You have to trade him out, and he also loses price. And it's been a bit of a culmination effect for Libba, a couple of injury affected games. And look, 382, what are your options? I think, he's got to go, so I hope you have trades left. And I think the best option is his teammate, Luke Dalhouse. He too has a huge break-even and is rapidly dropping in price. His break-even is at 161. He is at 422. Of course, he had that 28, I think, as he got injured in the first quarter. So he looked good against us. He came back against the Cats, and he looked pretty good with about 106 points, I think. You can bank on Dalhouse. He's a very good player, and it could be a real lifesaver with the price he's at. Now, if you've got coverage for Libba, or it's not your most pressing issue for whatever reason, you may be happy to hold off for 1 week. And, I don't endorse that. But I think at this time of the year, you just got to go for the points. So bring in Dalhouse if you can. Look, if you can't do that, if you've got one trade left and you've got 10k in the bank, then your option may be, alright, I'll just have to cop it, wait 1 week. Dalhouse will probably, drop another 20, 25,000, maybe 30,000. Then you can get him. So I think that might be an option for some, but if you can get your hands on Dalhouse, then certainly do so. And look, you might be saying, look, Shorty, I've got one trade left. I've got $1,000 in the bank. There's no guarantee Dalhouse is going to be in my range next week. I need to pull the trigger now, but I've got absolutely no offers really around that price. So who do I think is probably the best option around that? And it is very tough because you look at it and there's a lot of players who they're all sitting around that sort of 85, 90 average. It's not that flash down there at 380,000. But I would say Steve Motlop would be your man. I think he's about 382. Ben Cunnington is not too far off it either. I think he maybe just be slightly under that. And, he's consistent sort of player, but he hasn't quite reached the heights that some thought he would. He may be a random sort of option, but I think if you can't afford anything over Libba's price, really, and you can't afford to wait for Dalhouse to drop, I would roll the dice on Motlop. Now, of course, would we normally trade in Steve Motlop? No, of course we wouldn't, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, he's a hot and cold player. He's been cold at times this year, but as a Cats fan, watching him, he is starting to come hot. He was much better last week, and I think, he's got the Bombers this week. It's the sort of game that he can really get on the outside and dominate, and I think, he's starting to get into good form. I mean, it's how Motlop rolls. He has quiet 3 to 4 week periods, and then he's back to some really good form. So I saw the shift in that probably last week and a little bit against the Crows as well. So I think if you want to roll the dice, then that's your man. Your other options may be, I've got Ben Keys on the bench or something. I'm not happy with, going for Dalhouse. I'm not happy with Motlop. Whatever it may be. Got 2 trades left. I could trade Keys down to Menengola and get me 130k. Then I can look for around that 510,000 mark. Who do I go with there, Shorty? Well, I've got a few names for you. And again, these aren't your Dangerfields or your Hannaberys of the world, because at this time of the year, you just got to get guys who can probably score you around 100, because you're not going to get an absolute premium. We always hope we can, but it's probably not going to be the case. But who are your options there? I think Tom Mitchell, he's around 492,000. I think he's a reasonable option. Yes, he runs with guys sometimes. Yes, he can be, real big or then an 80 sort of thing. But he's a reasonable option to go with. Trent Cotchin is at 486. Now, I know Trent's a little bit on the nose in media circles, but the fact that he's averaged 104 can't be ignored. When he is playing good footy, and I don't think he's been as bad as some people think. I probably reckon he'll probably win their best and fairest. That's a stupid comment. Dustin Martin will win their best and fairest, but Cotchin will be there and abouts. Him, Rance, and of course Martin, who be right up there in the Brownlow. They'll be right around there. So he's at 486, and we're not going to get the best of the best, but I think as you scroll up, the first name that is somewhat noteworthy for SuperCoach, I think, is Trent at 486. Decision's yours, but the one that I really do like at 499,000 is Adam Treloar. I think he's reasonably priced for a bloke who is capable of big scores, and I think you can roll the dice on him comfortably. Now, of course, the Pies, they play Richmond on the Friday. Always a bit of interest between those two. Between Treloar and Cotchin, funnily enough, that was totally accidental. But the two boys who exchanged words last time, I think Treloar is that exception to what we can probably find at this time, where you're looking for guys who can just be good, while Treloar is capable of being really, really good player, real premium status. He's a bloke that I'll probably look at next year. So to pick him up now, there's potentially can average 110 plus for the last 4 weeks, and that's exactly what we want. I think Cripps is around the mark too, and you might think about that too. He's run into some really good form, but there's some names. And that's about it for the weekend, because I think that's really about it. I could talk about a few guys who might make, well priced and going to make money, but it doesn't matter. Of course it's obvious. If a bloke's name of the team like Menengola, you just pick him. Simple as that. I think Menengola might be on the extended bench. I'm not too sure, but yeah. I don't have to tell you to trade in a guy who's playing, because at the moment it doesn't matter about making money, generating some cash. It just doesn't matter. So do your best. Hopefully you can field a full side. Hopefully you can field 22 premiums. I know I won't, because I got Deledio. You just got to do what you got to do. The take-home message is get as many points as you can. It's as simple as that. In the past, I've gone, if you can save 30,000 here or 40,000 there, it'll help in the long run. That's not the case now, because the long run is now. The time is now. We need to be scoring points right now. So I think if you want to be taking that extra bit of risk, we trade guys down just to get 50k, just to get us over to, whoever it may be, then certainly do so. But all the best for SuperCoach. Hopefully you win anything you're in. Hopefully you have a good week. And I'll see you for the press conference on Monday.